story I share this morning is also about a power of unconditional love. It's like many of the stories that Chuck and Julie just talked about redemption and reconciliation. And like the stories they talked about, it's also about pain and loss and regret, but never without the promise of hope. As many of you know, I was adopted as a baby. It was 1967, and adoptions at that time were closed. The names and places of both the birth and adopted families were withheld. The only family I've ever known, the Millers, is a pretty great group of people. We have our dramatic, less than stellar moments, like most families. But on the whole, I consider myself lucky. The unconditional love I experienced in my childhood and adulthood is a gift I can never repay. The only thing I can do is offer to practice it myself. In fact, if I had a name for this reflection, I might call it unconditional love practiced by conditional, imperfect people. Since my father's passing in January, there's been an added keenness and poignancy to thinking about what a parent's love means for a child. Over the past couple of years, I've become more curious about my background. I reached out to an agency that works on researching birth family, and the investigator I spoke with recommended using Ancestry.com as a good place to start a search. In February, I received a kit, spit in the tube, and sent it back. I knew nothing really about my history other than I was born in Burlington, Vermont. I'll be there at a church next week, actually, performing. And that my biological mother was white and my father was black, and a few other anecdotes. So a couple weeks ago, I received notification my DNA results were in. I opened the email and discovered that my primary origins are Western European, British, West African, South and East African, and a bunch of other things. Real mud. And I don't know if anyone else has done this, but so this page comes up and then it says, click on your DNA match results. There's another button you can click on. So I clicked on that, and there on the screen was a face and a name with a location and a heading that said, "This is your mother." I shut the laptop, shocked into disbelief. How could something hidden from me for 51 years suddenly appear on my computer screen, such a momentous thing, revealed by the tap of a finger? So I was in touch with a birth parent investigator who said a discovery like that is extremely a rare occurrence. Well, yeah. The investigator reached out to my biological mother, whose name is Susan, and she's living in Maine. So the investigator said to me, I'll get back to you later today and let you know what she says. And I was prepared either way when I was adopted as a week old and knew that maybe I would understand if she had moved on and I wouldn't speak to her. But the investigator called back and said she was very excited and looking forward to speaking to me. So there I was with the phone in my hand, ready to call Susan, this woman I'd never met, thinking, what do you say? What do you say after all these years? So I called, and she said, hello, is this Mark? And I said, yep, yes it is. I want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. And she said, I loved you from the moment I held you. I just knew I couldn't take care of you the way you needed. The social worker told me about a family who had adopted children from all around the world. And I thought to myself, that sounds like a wonderful family to be a part of. One of the things I discovered is she's a member of a UCC church in Maine. In that conversation, when I asked about my biological father's identity, although he had passed in 2012. I found out his name from her and found out he was regarded as this legendary DJ and singer in his day. Friends with people like James Cleveland and Ray Charles and James Brown and Shirley Caesar. And he was also a deacon at a missionary Baptist church, which is really bizarre because this is a UCC Baptist church. And I grew up Methodist, which is kind of in between. So when I went up to Pennsylvania to share this news with my mom last week, her hands flew to her mouth, her eyes got really wide, and she shouted, "I cannot believe this. This is so wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that you found her after all this time." This is my mom, my adopted mom I'm talking about. And her eyes filled with tears, and she said, "And how happy your birth mother must be to hear from you after all these years and know that everything turned out okay." So when I spoke to the other ministers earlier this week about this story, Caroline responded, "If God is love, this must be the way that God loves us." So in all the overwhelm and surprise of the past couple weeks, one of the deepest confirmations has come through the music. Pieces I've written have come back to me, reminding me Christ has broken down the wall. We are accepted as we are. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. No matter what anyone says, you are a child of God. All along the music was speaking from somewhere deep within that I hadn't been really conscious of. Unconditional love, experienced from the beginning, has helped me to write the music. So a lot of mysteries remain, maybe never to be solved, and even though this story continues to unfold, the other ministers thought I should share it as a testimony this morning, a testimony to the power of love. I wanted to share it with you, my church family, and share the belief that all of us can practice unconditional love, even when we always haven't been recipients of it. Where can we learn it, you ask? How? Well, we learn it from each other. I learn it from our kids and family and spouse and friends from this church. We learn it from the stories we heard. We learn it from the stories that we heard from the gospel this morning, truths and ways of being that we can always base our lives on. So when all of us, the imperfect people of God, practice unconditional love, we help restore life from a hopeless situation. We unlock healing and creativity and reconciliation and redemption. And there are tears of joy and laughter and surprise and wonder at the beauty and the pain and the goodness of life. This must be the way that God loves.
Amen.